Hi everyone, welcome back to Baking Nicky. Today I'm sharing a great marshmallow recipe, and I love this because it doesn't have any egg whites in it. Instead, I'm gonna be using gelatin, and this is the secret ingredient to achieving the perfect fluffy marshmallow. So I'm gonna start with all of these ingredients, and that's really all that you need. I do recommend that you use a candy thermometer if you have one, or just a regular thermometer, because we need to hit a very specific temperature for our sugar and water syrup combination. So I'm gonna get that started. I'm gonna add my water first. I have half of the amount in the pot, and on top of that, I'm gonna add my sugar. And this is just regular granulated sugar. To that, I'm gonna add a stabilizing ingredient, and this is what gives the marshmallow this gooey texture. You can use glucose, but for this video, I'm using my own homemade invert sugar, which really achieves the same thing. So I'm gonna bring this to the stove and then get this going on medium to high heat until I get a nice boil, and then I will let this cook until we reach a soft ball stage, and that is about 114 Celsius and 245 Fahrenheit. While that is going, I'm gonna prepare the rest of my ingredients. So first thing is we need to bloom that gelatin. So I have some powdered gelatin here that I need to hydrate with the rest of the water that I have. So I'm gonna save myself some time here and put this straight into my mixing bowl. Again, I would really recommend that you use a stand-up mixer for this recipe because it makes the job a lot easier. So nothing new here. We're just gonna add the water, let that sit for about 2 to 3 minutes, and after that you can start whipping this up on medium to low speed until you find that your syrup is ready. And mine is right here, it's ready to go. And this is why you really want a stand-up mixer, because you have to add that syrup to the gelatin mixture very carefully and slowly. You don't want the syrup to splash all around the bowl. There's a little bit of splashing that will happen, but if you add it too quickly, then it will just sink to the bottom of the bowl and stay there. So you want to make sure it's incorporated evenly. That's why you do this slowly. And remember, that is a very hot mixture that you're adding. So we're gonna mix this on medium to high speed until we reach this nice little fluffy white mixture. And at this point, I like to add my flavoring. In this case, I'm going for a classic vanilla marshmallow. So you whip this up. I'm constantly checking whether I can touch the sides of the bowl. If it's too hot, that means you have to whip some more. But you will know when it's done when you see that it's holding its shape. When you lift the whisk off of the bowl, you will see this nice ribbon effect, and you find that it's holding its shape. So that's what you want, because we are gonna pipe this mixture onto specific shapes. And just for the record, that was 28 degrees Celsius. So this is room temperature we're talking about. So my marshmallow is done. I'm gonna use it straight away. And the easiest thing for you to do if you wanna get individual pieces of marshmallow is to use a piping bag. But you can also just put this in a container, some sort of round container or square even, so that you can cut things out of it. You can also do that, but for this video, I'm just gonna use my piping bag, and I'm gonna scoop out all of that beautiful, fluffy gooiness out of the bowl into the piping bag. And when you're working with mixtures like this, something very sticky, you usually want to work on the spot. Don't just put it aside and then take care of it later, because then it will be much harder to work with, because what you want from a marshmallow is for it to set so that it's not sticking to your fingers. So it's important to bear in mind that you need to make it and be ready to just put it into some container or just pipe it into something. So in order for the marshmallow not to stick everywhere, it's important that you coat whatever baking pan you're using. So I have here some icing sugar mixture with some potato starch. And I find that the icing sugar, if you were to use just icing sugar, the marshmallow mixture tends to absorb it a lot. So I like mixing those two up. You could also just go for the starch alone without icing sugar. That's completely up to you. But I find that starch is really not being absorbed by the marshmallow mixture. So as you can see, I'm just piping a random strip of marshmallow goodness onto this pan. You can also do individual sort of dollops, which I will also do. And the shape really depends. You really have to think about what you want to use them for. If it's just for a snack, then you can make whatever shape you want. If it's for hot chocolate, then you want to have those nice little squares. So just have a think about that and decide what shape suits you best. Once you're done piping or just setting your marshmallow somewhere, make sure to add a little more of those powders on top, and we are gonna let these just sit in a corner somewhere and firm up, ideally overnight. If you can't wait, then a good 4 hours is enough, but overnight is really best. And once they're done, you can just lift them up. I like to use a little spatula just in case I didn't cover it properly, maybe it sticks a little. And I take a little brush and just dust off the excess starch and icing sugar. And oh my god, the difference between homemade marshmallows and store-bought is insane. You're gonna love making these. So I'm hoping to use these marshmallows in another video that I have in the pipeline. But some of these I'm just gonna do chocolate covered marshmallows. So as you can see, you can cut the strips into whatever other shape you want. You can just make them into tiny squares. You see that they're so fluffy and sticky and gooey. They're absolutely delicious. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe for more. Thanks again.